Omoda. The name might be familiar from a cheap Chinese small SUV, but now it's a brand in its own right, and it's not cheap at all. This is the Omoda 9, a plug-in hybrid 5-seat luxurious SUV with heaps of EV driving range and plenty of standard spec and tech. But I'll tell you what it's like in this review, the pricing and specs, and also the best alternatives to it. So stick around. If you haven't already, please subscribe and ring the bell. It's Omoda 9 time. There's just one version of the Omoda 9 available in Australia. It's called Virtue, and it's a super hybrid. So it does have a plug-in hybrid powertrain with lots of EV driving range and a price tag that might surprise you. $61,990 plus on-road costs. It seems a lot for a new brand and a new model, but the equipment list here is extensive. Let's run through it. You've got 20-inch alloy wheels with Michelin tires. There's LED headlights with auto high beam, heated power folding side mirrors. You've got puddle lights for the front and rear doors, a panoramic sunroof with a power sunshade, a power tailgate, proximity entry and push button start. There's semi-autonomous parking with reverse tracking. There's a head-up display, a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster and a 12.3-inch touchscreen with wired and wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, sat-nav, digital radio, a 14-speaker sound system, including 2 headrest speakers for the driver. There's a 50-watt wireless phone charger, heated and ventilated front seats with power adjustment, heated and ventilated outboard rear seats as well, a heated steering wheel with power tilt and reach, dual zone climate control. You've got fragrance systems in there. There's a color adjustable ambient lighting system, a built-in dash cam, and in terms of the colors, there are 4 to choose from. This one, Silk White, is the only one that will cost you no extra cash. The 3 other ones will add a little bit of extra money to the equation. So what do you think? It does certainly have a whole lot of standard spec and tech, but let me tell you some alternatives that you might want to think about as well. If you're thinking luxury car, there's nothing that really comes close to this in terms of the standard spec, the price and the EV driving range of this plug-in hybrid. But if you're thinking more about, well, the mainstream SUVs out there that you can consider, the BYD C-Line 6 is a walk-up start. Even though it doesn't have as much EV driving range as this, there are a couple of different versions available, and the top spec one with all-wheel drive is a much cheaper option than this. So it could be a very good choice if you want something from a more established brand. That is a consideration, I would say. Still a very, very good thing. Another option you might want to consider if you're watching your dollars is the Chery Tiggo 8. It's a super hybrid as well with heaps of EV driving range. It's got 7 seats, it's got a practical body, and it's got a pretty nice drive experience in its own right. And it starts at less than $46,000 drive away for the base model and less than 50 grand for the top spec one with everything thrown at it. So if you are thinking a little bit more financially, it could be a good choice. And if you are looking for a larger 5-seat plug-in hybrid SUV, the GWM Haval H6 could be a goer. There's the GT coupe style version with heaps of EV driving range and heaps of power and heaps of standard spec. And then there's the standard SUV version, which has a slightly lower EV driving range, but it does have a lower price point as well. Those are all established players, and that might be a decision maker for you. Have you seen in the comments, would you roll the dice on a new brand like this? I'd love to hear from you. The Omoda 9 is big for a 5-seater. In fact, this is a 4.7 meter long 5-seater, so it is big for a car that doesn't have third row seats. You'll see all the dimensions on your screen now, and I think it's a really sharp looking piece of design. Kind of looks like a Cadillac and a Nissan Murano had a baby. Like the wheels, like the fact you've got Michelin tires as standard, even though they are the more eco-focused Primacy tires. You've got 2 filler points, but I'll get to that in a sec. And at the rear, it does have a tidy design with that full length LED bar, but still, this kind of money, I would have thought they could have figured out how to not have those plug points on the back tailgate, because the Chinese number plates are different to the rest of the world. Don't know why they can't get to that yet. But anyway, let's have a look in the boot. It is a massive boot. It does have more than 600 litres of cargo capacity according to the brand, and it does also have some neat features in here. Now, let me just move this out of the way. It does have a light under there, and you've got the cargo cover, and you've got a shopping bag hook on this side, which is handy, but not all that much in terms of the smarts. And the 600 litres is probably measured to the ceiling, but let's have a look under the boot floor and see what we're working with here. Yep, just a tyre repair kit, and that's about it. There's a big gap in there as well where you might be able to store something, but hey, no spare. Could be an issue for some buyers. But let's take a look inside it and see what the interior is like. It's not going to feel too unfamiliar from other models in the Chery, Jaecoo, Omoda lineup here because, well, the interior finishing is similar. Look, it is still luxurious. Have a look at these seats, for instance. They do have a lovely finish on them, and you do have the remote adjustment for the passenger seat too. Plus, you've also got this lovely stitching on the door cards and soft elbow pads, soft padding up here as well, all the way down here onto these armrests, which are also a split open center console bin. And here you've got another little covered console area as well with some cup holders, and you've got a decent sized little bin in there with a hidey hole. That's pretty neat. And a wireless phone charger right there, and a second little dock spot there as well. And underneath there's a storage area with 12-volt and USB ports, and in fact down there is a fragrance hole. So in there, there's 3 different fragrances. You can adjust the fragrances on the screen here, but let me show you. You have to sort of swipe up if you're using CarPlay, and that will get you into this screen here, which is your HVAC, also your seat controls, so you can do driver's seat ventilation or heating. You can go to the back seats and do those as well. Yep, rear seat ventilation and heating. And in here, you can adjust the fragrance in the cabin. Sport. I don't know if I want to smell like sport. And you've also got Cure and Natural. They're all pretty interesting scents, but it is interesting that you've got these settings available to you. You've also got cabin cleaning and cabin ventilation as well. So the whole idea here, including air purification, is to try and make this a wellness space, according to the brand. You've also got a steering wheel heater there. Your demister buttons are on the screen there. And there are some controls, physical controls, for some of the elements of the aircon. So you've got temperature and demisters there, and also direction and fan speed here. And you can turn it off there. You've got AC there, and then you've got a central drive mode controller, and annoyingly it still makes this noise.
Sport mode. Snow mode.
I just wish they'd silence that.
Sport mode.
Maybe you can in the settings, but
normal mode.
It's just a little bit annoying. But anyway, you've also got a button right there to change between hybrid and EV driving modes. More on that later on. Here you'll also see that you've got a volume controller. So it's not a dial, but it is sort of. As you can see there, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is on offer, and it's paired up very quickly. It's just whether you can get used to the controls beyond that screen, because there are quite a few controls. Let me go back to the home screen, or this main menu screen, the apps screen, which is where you can see you've got sat nav, you've got DVR. So this car does have a built-in dash cam system up here, and it will be constantly recording. And it will be very handy to have that as part of your I didn't crash into you, you crashed into me arsenal. Now, there's a number of different things here. Auto park is one of the ones you might want to use. You can change your ambient lighting using that button there. And you've also got some new energy screens. So you can see what's happening with the powertrain. You can see what your energy consumption has been like, and also power management. So you can adjust between different levels of charge that you'd like the battery to hold. You can have it as smart mode, which will leave you about 20% of battery, and initial mode will use a little bit more. It'll get it down to about 15% of the car's big battery. Now, the home screen does have a few other controls here. As you can see, you can go into car menus and stuff through that screen. You've got multiple different drive modes that you can adjust on the screen there, and driving assistance stuff is on screen there too. These, well, thankfully, not annoying. So I haven't actually had to turn much of it off. There is also a drop-down menu from the top there. You can adjust your screen brightness, your volume, and also some of those controls, as you can see there. Lane departure prevention, lane departure warning, and just let me get that back, if I can get it back. Come on, there we go. Electronic park brake on the screen. It's a button. it doesn't have a physical control for the park brake. Now, let's talk a little bit more about physical controls. You've got a column shifter gear selector right there. You've got some other little buttons up here. You've got a hill descent control and an around view monitor switch. So if I press that, it will show me the camera feed. So I can basically see what's happening around the car, and it is a very decent quality camera system. You've got a 3D mode. You can look at what's happening at the front curbs. And look, it's a very, very good bit of technology. If you're a nervous parker, you're going to love that. Over here, you'll see you've got a wiper and blinker stalk. You've got these controls on the steering wheel, similar to other Chery models. I don't love them, quite frankly, because they are fingerprint magnets and the controls themselves do take quite a bit of learning. You've got your cruise control stuff on this side, including an intelligent cruise assistant function there, so it can stop, start, and steer for you in traffic. That little bloke right there is your driver monitoring camera. And down here, there are some headlight controls. That's your petrol filler cap. You don't need to press a button to open the filler cap for your power charging. And here you'll also see you've got Mercedes style seat adjustments on the doors. Now, these are kind of interesting because, well, frankly, I'm 6 foot tall and usually I don't show you how high I'm sitting in the front seat, but I don't feel like I can sit low enough, and it's just as bad in the passenger side. You can't lower the base of the seat down. So if you are looking for that command driving position, you want to be able to see out ahead of you, it'll be fine. But if you don't want that, if you just want to sit a little lower, you might not love the driving position of this car. Now, over here, you'll also see you've got regular window switches, but this one here is your emergency door pull. But there's also a button there if you want to use the electric button to open the door. But I just find that, well, this little door pull is actually better. So I've gravitated to using that one more often. Down below, there are some big, deep trenches with bottle holders. You've got an electric boot button down there, and there's also a head-up display, which I didn't show you before. As you can see there, it shows up your speed sign and also a little traffic icon to tell you if there's traffic. It seems to think that that brick wall is a car. But overhead, you'll find you've got some vanity mirrors with illumination, and you've actually got double sun visors, which is so good. It means that you'll be able to, well, at least be a little bit less glary, but again, they don't go all the way back. So it's not quite as good as some other luxury offerings out there. No grab handle for the driver, but you do get this very big glass roof with, it actually opens up. If you want it to be a sunroof, you can open it up and enjoy a sunny day like today. And it does mean that you do have a bit more of a light and airy ambience in the car if you want that, because it does have the dark headliner. I'll also call out, you've got an auto dimming rear vision mirror right there, and no connected services buttons up here. So some other cars, you have an SOS call button up there to, well, call for help if you need it, but not, which is a bit of a shame. Okay, good front seat experience. Let's check out the second row and see if it's luxurious. So this seat is set for my driving position. I'm 6 foot tall. Look how much space I've got. Lots of footroom, courtesy of the very high set driver's seat. Lots of knee room, and the headroom is also very good. Not exceptional, but very good, I would say. But it's the amenities in the back that make this car a little bit different. Let me show you some of the good bits. So you've got electric adjustment for the seat. So the base doesn't actually move, but the backrest, as you can see, will recline or incline to give you lots of comfort. And down here, you've got some controls for your seats. So you can put on seat heating. There's also seat ventilation if you want it, and fan speed adjustment too. So look, it's got plenty of great inclusions back here, but what isn't great is you've just got one center vent. It's not a split vent, and that could be maybe a little bit of a disappointment, but there are vents in the B pillars, so you should still be able to get a good airflow into the back seat. There's a pair of map pockets on the seat backs. You've also got little thing down here that pops open to give you some USB charge ports. It's a flat floor, so you should be able to fit 3 adults across. You've got decent sized door pockets once more, ambient lights and nice soft finishes on the doors as well. And it just feels pretty primo. The seat is maybe not the most comfortable, but you do get things like grab handles and lights and overhead speakers. And let's have a look at the child seat amenities. So you've got ISO fixed points as you would expect, and 3 top tethers too, and a flip down armrest with cup holders. So I think that if you are looking for a large and family friendly 5-seater with plenty of lovely features for those in the back seats, this could be a strong option. But there is one thing it is missing: rear sunblinds. What a shame. Under the bonnet of the Omoda 9 is a 1.5 litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine running the deep Miller cycle. Now, this engine has 105 kilowatts and 215 newton meters. That's not heaps, but it's also got 3 electric motors as part of this powertrain. There's 2 at the front and 1 at the rear, and all combined, the output for this powertrain is huge: 395 kilowatts, 650 newton meters, and it's all managed by a 3-speed dedicated hybrid transmission. It's too complex to go into lots of detail on, but just know this: it's got all-wheel drive, and it will constantly vary where that power and torque is going based on the situation that the car is in. Now, let's talk about acceleration. Obviously, that's heaps of power and torque. 4.9 seconds 0 to 100 for a vehicle like this. That is very, very good. And it weighs quite a bit as well, 2,203 kilograms. And unfortunately, it has no towing capacity for this vehicle. So, what do you think? Does that seem like enough grunt for you? On the driver's side rear of this car, you'll find your petrol filler cap, and on the passenger side rear of the car is your EV charge port. Now, it does have AC and DC charging. You'll see the maximum AC rate on your screen, and well, the DC rate is very impressive, faster than some full electric cars, and that means that you'll be able to do a rapid recharge at a pretty impressive speed. Now, it does have a pretty big battery pack, this car. It is a 34 kilowatt hour battery, and that means a claimed EV driving range of more than 160 Ks on the NEDC cycle. That is maybe a little bit lenient, but I haven't had a chance to do a full proper EV driving range test with this car just yet. Make sure you subscribe. Maybe I'll get a chance to do that in the future. But let's go drive it and I'll show you what it's like. All right, so what's it like to drive? Well, overall, it's a pretty promising experience. It's not necessarily anything to make you go, well, I've got to have it, but it does live up to the expectation of something that is luxurious feeling, but also immensely powerful. Now, this is one of the things with the Chinese brands, with these mega hybrids. They do tend to be ridiculously powerful, and if you put it into one of the drive modes that allows you to exploit that, sport mode in this instance, you can really feel that this does have a huge amount of power and torque. There is no denying it's a quick SUV, quicker than lots of the others out there for this kind of money, or double it, maybe even triple it. But it is going to be, well, not necessarily a driver's tool. It is fine. It is fine in a lot of ways, but it's certainly not the most dynamic experience. It feels kind of heavy, and it doesn't necessarily have the same sort of sensation that you might be hoping for if you do want something that is enthusiastic. Like the steering, it's adequate. It has a decent amount of weight to it. In sport mode, it adds a little bit more weight, but it isn't thrilling. It doesn't make you go, oh, I got to get back in and do those corners again. That's not the kind of car this is. But it does have a continuously variable damper system for the suspension, so it is really going to deal well with different lumps and bumps. So in sport mode, it's a little bit firmer. If I put it back into normal normal mode. It does work pretty well in terms of just offering a more comfortable ride, and you can configure an individual drive mode with some of those elements tailored to your requirements. And that does add a little bit of appeal here, but I don't think it's the sharpest tool, the greatest driving experience you'll ever have, unless you're upgrading from something that isn't great. But this is a very serene, nice experience for the most part. Serene is a nice word for this car actually, because it's quiet, it's calming, and it doesn't necessarily feel taxing in any particular way, including the safety systems, although there are some of those systems that can be a little bit pushy. If you're on a country road with line markings, you might find that the steering is a bit, well, assertive in the way that it will correct you in your lane, and that might be annoying for some. And the driver monitoring camera can also tell you off if you're looking around the car too much, or if you're looking for an address or something like that. So those little things, they're not major things, they are little things, and I think you'll get to live with this car pretty easily if you're considering it. And of course there is a regen braking system to try and recuperate some energy and feed it back to the battery pack. And it does have a few different modes for the regen, and also reasonably decent brake pedal feel. It's not the best, but it's not the worst either. Pretty natural in terms of the pedal progression. You just have to get used to it. Now, all of that pretty promising, isn't it? So let's talk about EV driving range and efficiency numbers. Usually when I drive a plug-in hybrid, I try and do an EV range test. That hasn't been possible with this launch drive of the Omoda 9, which has basically just been from the city out to the north of Sydney to Dural, and we're gonna head back soon. But it is still pretty impressive in terms of the efficiency numbers that I've been seeing. Now, the official combined fuel consumption number is, well, mind-boggling, as these plug-in hybrids tend to be. 1.4 litres per 100 Ks is the official number. It's kind of like magic how they come up with that kind of number. It's very unrealistic, I would suggest. And especially if you are going to top up the battery and get potentially 150 Ks of EV driving, we're going to use no litres per 100 for the first 100, and then you'll use more for the next 100 after that. Now, so this isn't the most scientific number, but on screen I'm going to show you what the car's trip computer display was telling me this vehicle was using when I was driving in hybrid mode, and when I was driving in EV mode, well, it was using no juice at all. And it will be a very amenable commuter if you are going to be doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing with it. Charging it at home or charging it at work, and then driving back and forth, doing the commute in EV, and then the long distance road trip as a still very fuel efficient hybrid SUV. Now, keep in mind, it does need 95 RON premium unleaded, and it's got a bloody big fuel tank, people, 70 litres. That's impressive, and it should mean, according to the brand, that you'll be able to get 1100 Ks of combined driving range. Impressive? What do you reckon? The Omoda 9 has yet to be tested by ANCAP, but it does have a 5-star Euro ANCAP rating from pretty recent testing, so you can expect that will be applied to this model in Australia, and it does have all the stuff you would expect and the tech that you would expect too. So it's got autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist and junction detection. There's lane keeping assistance. There's blind spot monitoring and recross traffic alert. You've got intelligent cruise control and adaptive cruise control if you don't want that. Plus there is a speed sign recognition system, which seems okay. And there's also a driver monitoring system too, which is a bit overzealous. But thankfully, the safety tech integration here is pretty well managed on the whole, I would say. It's not perfect, but better than some of the others out there. Now, when it comes to parking maneuvers, you've got a surround view camera system as standard. It has an auto parking system as well, and a reversing assistant, so it can remember a certain number of meters that you just drove and reverse you out of that situation if you find yourself in a spot of bother. Plus, when it comes to the airbag coverage, there's plenty. 8 in this car. There's dual front, front side, driver's knee, a front center airbag, but also curtain coverage for both rows of seats. Omoda might be new to the market, but it is following the same footsteps as Jaecoo when it comes to the warranty and ownership stuff. So there's an 8-year unlimited kilometre warranty for the vehicle. There's also an 8-year battery warranty for the high voltage battery. And there's an 8-year capped price servicing plan. You'll see the average service price over that plan on your screen now. And if you do service with Omoda's network of dealerships, well, you'll be able to get up to 8 years of roadside assistance included. It tops up each time you go back. So it seems all right from the ownership perspective, but honestly, the biggest ownership risk here is going to be resale value because it's a new brand that's very much unknown. On paper, this car stacks up really, really well. The standard equipment is excellent. The price is really quite appealing and it drives decently with heaps of EV driving range as well. But I'd love to know what you think. Would you roll the dice on a new brand with a new model like this? Or would you go for one of those options that is already established in the market? Have your say. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you when I see you.